Good afternoon, folks. Folks, sorry about that. Some feedback. Okay. As usual, just give people just a couple of minutes. I know you're eager to get started and get on with your day, but we'll just give people perhaps 2 minutes and start at just 3 minutes after me.
Let me turn on the camera.
Okay, guys, let's get started. Thanks for everyone for joining. For those of you who do not know me, my name's Andy Moore. I'm the founder and owner of Gulf Coast Property Management. We started the business just over 20 years ago now, and in that time we've gone from strength to strength to strength. There's been various iterations, and sometimes it's one step forward, a couple of steps back. But over the years, we've progressed, and I think over the last certainly the few years, we've assembled what I consider some of the best professionals in the industry. Our technology is up to scratch as good as it can be, and we're really starting to make strides within this industry. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to share my screen. We've created a PowerPoint presentation, so you just don't have to listen to me droning on. You can look at some data and some pictures, and then we'll open it up in a little while to some questions. Okay. Okay, so just set your expectations for today. We're going to go over the local and national market conditions, the headwinds that we're facing, some of the opportunities that we see that we can utilize, update on our staffing and some training, some more upgrades to our software, some tech initiatives that we're adopting, and then finally open it up to the floor so you guys can fire some questions over at us. So at Gulf Coast, our mission really, we are 100% focused on property management. We're not a real estate firm who play at this. What we do is property management, and we do so by blending a personal touch. We're still a small company, but we utilize the resources of larger firms. So we hope we hit that sweet spot between the mom and pop organizations who certainly have their value, and the larger organizations who bring with them a wealth of technology, data, infrastructure. And we hope we hit that middle mark in between those two, hopefully taking the best of both worlds, not the worst of both worlds. And we aim to enhance the value of your property ownership and improve the experience for everyone involved. And by that, we mean our vendors, our staff, and that's most importantly, the guests that stay in the properties. So what we bring is we bring deeper resources. If people are out sick, we have people to cover. We go on training courses. We constantly reviewing our staff, setting them challenges, reviewing their KPIs. We have contact center that's open from 9 a.m. till 10 p.m. at night. Now, what I don't want people to think is what we are as a contact center. What we want from you as owners, we want you as owners to build a relationship with your account manager. We want you to have their direct dial. We often think about this as a Bank of America thing. If you want to be contacting your financial advisor directly, but then other customers of Bank of America, they will call the 1-800 number. We don't want you calling our 1-800 number. We don't want you calling our switchboard. We want you to be contacting your account manager on their direct dial. Their direct dial's on their signatures. That's a direct dial to them. If they're not available because they're talking to other owners or they're at a property, they will get back to you within a day. That's our commitment to you guys. The contact center really is added value. It's there for guests. It's there for vendors. It's there that very often something will come up at 4 o'clock on a Saturday afternoon. Our staff are there to take it. They'll come up at 9 o'clock at night. Our staff are there to answer the calls. So it's adding a layer of customer service that wasn't always there, certainly within our company, and it's very rare to find it in other companies even now. Rather than your account manager trying to get bookings for you, we have a whole vacation rental sales team. They're very in tune with the industry. They are constantly answering leads. They are reaching out. So not only are we looking at inbound leads, then we're also hitting up past guests and guests that are in our database. Realtors refer guests to us. So our vacation rental team, that's what they do. They're not looking at your property. They're not performing inspections. They're not having meetings with property owners. They're actually selling your properties. We have a revenue management team who they crank the numbers. They use various tools and they look at what the market is doing on a day-to-day basis. They're looking at VRBO. They're looking at Airbnb. They're looking at what your neighbors are doing. They're looking at what other companies are doing in the area, and they're adjusting the prices accordingly. Sometimes we're setting the bar. Sometimes we're setting the barrier and the price, and people look at us. But sometimes if the properties aren't moving, what's the reason that's not moving? So we start looking at prices. We start seeing what our competition are doing. So we're constantly moving that number to see if we can encourage occupancy and bookings. We have association management, we have accounting, and we have an HR department. So what that means to you is we're a bona fide company, and as an owner of this company, I couldn't always say that. I was doing the HR, and if anyone who knows me really well, me and the HR, it's not going to go over that well. So now we've brought an HR director in that actually fights for the benefits for our staff, that negotiates, that if they've got a grievance, they're upset about something, they've got someone to go to. So, and all of that means our staff retention is up. There's nothing worse for us, and I guess you as owners, getting to know someone, putting the effort in to build that relationship, and then the account manager leaves because they're seeing a better opportunity. We want Gulf Coast to be that better opportunity all of the time. So all of these things that we're investing in as a company, it may not be quantifiable when it comes to producing results, but when you bundle them all up, the reason we're making strides within the industry is because we've got a lot to offer. So, as we all know, the last month we got hit pretty hard. We manage properties, various offices, but we manage offices from Manatee County down to Lee County, and I think it was Helene brought some issues for us and some concern, and certainly, some of our areas hit pretty hard. When Milton, hit the horizon, we were all frightened because that thing took aim dead center at us, and we were kind of convinced that we were going to be hit really hard. Unfortunately, some of our portfolio was, and for some of those owners on this call, my sympathy goes out to you. We're working diligently, in the background, trying to serve you best, get your property back up and running. But for the rest of you, 90% of our portfolio, survived, and it was very encouraging waking up that morning and seeing what had actually transpired. How we dodged a bullet, I don't know, but I'm very grateful we did. It was a mammoth task. I know you guys don't like getting the email or the call saying this is what we're going to be doing on your behalf. We've got another storm out there in the Gulf. We don't like it either. It's keeping some core staff together, having them focused on the work and not necessarily their own circumstances. That's testament to the team that we've built. We put things in place. We have plans. Those plans are always developing, and we're always improving on those plans. But when we're telling staff that, look, it's we're here, we're property managers. This is what we do. We're not just here for the good days. We're here for the bad days too. And we certainly have a few of those bad days. I'm very thankful for the team, both on the client services side and the customer service side, with the inspectors and our contact center, for keeping things going, keeping a level head in very trying circumstances. They did an amazing job. We got the vast majority of our post-storm inspections out within a matter of days. The only hindrance to us sometimes is access to the property. If the roads are blocked and if the police aren't letting us get onto an island or down a certain road, then there's nothing we can do about that. And but now all the inspections are out. We got a good handle on the property conditions, and again, I'm very grateful that we did. We were spared, and we did dodge a big bullet. But this is what it looks like. I mean, when I talk about the local market and what's happening, this is what we're up against. I mean, we've got people working really hard trying to put a lot of these areas back together. The owners are being participatory. The city's doing what they can do, but it's going to take time. We know from our experience on Sanibel Island that it takes time. I'm actually in the Sanibel office at the moment during this webinar, and Sanibel's a beautiful island, but it's, I would say, 40% recovered, and we're 2 years into the process. Now, out of that, we're going to have some beautiful properties. we're going to have, guests going to return to enhanced units because of what the storm did. But we're still, 40% into a recovery effort. It hasn't come back immediately. And I think we've got to have some rationale when it comes to applying our experience on Sanibel to Anna Maria Island, to Longboat Key, to Lido Key, to some areas of Siesta Key. Anywhere up the Gulf Coast that was hit hard by either Helene or Milton, it's going to take a while. And, to get the island back together. Now, the knock-on effect to that is guest sentiment. Many guests are still going to want to come. Some guests will want to either cancel or renegotiate. It may put a couple of guests off coming who come every single year. Maybe they're not going to come now because of what they're hearing in the media. The media is not doing us a lot of favors when it comes to the properties being put back. They're not being. They're trying to grab some headlines, and they are pointing to destruction. Now we know a lot of the properties are open. We know that we're ready to go, and the 90% of what we have to offer that isn't booked already, we know that we can house those guests, but they're hearing different noises from different areas. We got some locals here saying, "Please don't come, tourists, you'll get in the way." You've got news broadcasters saying that the Florida's a disaster zone. We know it's not true, but that sentiment persists, and even if someone's willing to come, they'll use that sentiment to try and negotiate rates down. So we've just got to be realistic about what's coming up over the next month, 2 months, 3 months, 6 months into the summer, because people are going to utilize whatever angle they can to try and get the best deal for themselves. So with that, that's kind of on the back of the market is on it. That's on the back of a general softening of the vacation rental market. Anyway, there's always going to be some hot button areas. We've come into Sanibel and we've raised rates to rates that our owners have never seen before, but that's more of a indication of the poor performance of other managers. These rates should have been up there in the first place. We've had more of a presence north of us. So more of a presence north of us. So we've got more experience there. So we've always been dragging rates up really high. During COVID, we were pushing rates up really high. That's what most property managers within this industry across the nation were doing. And we were seeing record rates and bumps, and everything was going on really well until probably 2022. And then from 2022, there's been a softening of those rates. And I know it's a bitter pill to swallow because many owners have been used to high rates and they're thinking, why am I going backwards? But it's just it's an indication of where the market is. The market, it has softened since COVID, and there's a few reasons why the market happens like that, why the market softens. Let's go to this. Go out of order now. Okay, so there's a few reasons why the market softens. Share this again. Sorry, just give me a second, guys. So the reason the market softens is at a macro level. What we used to benefit from when I first moved over here, 20 years ago, the UK sterling, the pound, was two times what the dollar's worth. So sorry, you had $2 to the pound. Now that's kind of languishing in the 125 mark. You've got conflict in Eastern Europe. You've got uncertainty when it comes to the election. You've got high inflation. We're trying to readdress it with interest rate drops, but it's not really making that much of a difference. And then perhaps I think the factor that has the most impact on us is our market saturation. You've got a lot of people who, during the COVID years and really cheap interest rates, they bought vacation rentals in Florida. It almost doubled. And when you go to Airbnb and VRBO and you look at the inventory from pre-pandemic to now, it has doubled. Now, you then combine that with a softening demand, with more properties, you are going to see some depression on prices. The guests really don't have a lot of loyalty to a property. They're often looking at the best deal, what serves them best. And if someone down the road is offering their property at significantly cheaper, we're going to have a kind of race to the bottom. And we know you don't want that. We don't want that. But there's some of the headwinds that we're facing when it comes to kind of the market conditions and what's causing these market conditions. If for those of you who are really in tune with the industry, there's a company out there called Vacasa, and there's a company out there called V-Trips, and they're big companies. V-Trips, the CEO of V-Trips actually has a podcast. Now, they missed, and this is startling, they missed their Q2 budget significantly by about 20%. They missed their Q3 budget by 50%. So what that means is they are planning on revenue, they are planning on occupancy, they're planning on rates, but just the travelers weren't there. Now, when you wrap that up and say, okay, all these revenues are down, as for a property management company, that they're down for property owners too. But you've got increasing expenses. Inflation is real. So just within Gulf Coast, our salaries has gone up by about 45% over the last 3 years. People need. So a lot of these other companies and these big companies like Vacasa and V-Trips are struggling now. Vacasa. The Vacasa, they're a publicly traded company, and they will likely be out of business within the year. They were a success story in the vacation rental world, and now they are struggling and will likely be out of business anytime soon. So let me get back on track with this webinar. So I mentioned before about staffing. Now, for those who've been with us a while, it wasn't too long ago, maybe 2 years ago, 2.5 years ago, that we had 2 account managers for our portfolio, and a lot of responsibilities were put on them, and they were juggling. Now we've got 6 account managers, and hopefully you will have all seen the impact of having a dedicated account manager who actually has time for you. Now, what their responsibilities are is they are the captain of the ship. They are your go-to person. Now, they use our in-house marketing. They use our revenue team. They use our sales team. But they are the captain of the ship. You look to them for advice. They will have reviews with you. If you've got a concern about your property, they're the person to reach out to. They meet with Matt, who heads up the client services team. They meet every single week. They meet with our sales team to discuss the challenges that certain properties are facing. So we have a lot of eyes on your properties. I don't want you to think that this is one person doing the job. They're your account manager, but there is 6 or 7 other people touching your account, looking at your account, and looking after your best interests all of the time. I can't tell you how serious these guys take it and how sensitive they are to your feelings when it comes to not delivering for you. If we're unable to, these guys and girls, they take it to heart. They really do. And I'm not just saying that. It is a real concern for them when we're not meeting the standards we set up for you. So we want to. We've got everything in place to meet those goals. Sometimes we're fighting against outside factors that we've got no control of. In the last 6 months, we brought marketing in-house. We used to rely on a kind of third-party experts, but we've brought marketing in-house, and it's made a real difference. Not least, it would seem on these slides. If some of you have seen my slides before, you'll see that these are significant improvement on what I've managed to do previously. But that in-house marketing goes to tweaking the website, upgrading the website, the content that we produce on social media, the newsletters that we send out to guests, encouraging them to revisit the Gulf Coast and come back and stay with us. So bringing in marketing in-house has been really good for us. And with that, we talk about the conferences that we go to. There's one conference. There's a ton of conferences. They'll put on conferences all year round in kind of property management. I could go to one every single week if I really wanted to. But one of the most important ones that we see is one called DARM, and we have our account managers going to the DARM conference, and basically that is saying the best practices for revenue management. How to squeeze every last drop out of the property, how to kind of market the properties, how to price the properties, seeing what industry trends are, getting ahead of the curve so we're not caught by surprise. So making those investments into our staff, so our account managers, they can have real conversations with you. They don't have to keep going back to sales and saying, hey, we've got a question about this. They'll be able to answer this themselves. So that's why it's so important for us to kind of retain staff, invest in staff. We've got more investment into the sales team, got beefed up accounting department, and our field staff, who are really the inspectors. They're the front line. They're the ones who see the properties on a daily and weekly basis. Their skills are getting honed, and we're seeing good things with our reports. Not perfect. We're always tweaking them. Sometimes we miss things, but we're human. There's lots of things going on in the property management world. They go into a lot of different properties. It's sometimes difficult to catch everything, which is why we encourage our owners to look at the reports that we send. All too often, with 4 or 5 guests back, an owner will come to us and say, hey, I've noticed this about my property, but that was there 4 or 5 reports ago. We missed it on in one instance, but we want you to take some responsibility, you to look at these reports. We send them to you so that you can look at the property as well and give you some comfort and develop trust with us that we're going into your properties, we're looking at your properties, we're trying to improve your properties, but you may well have a keener eye than us for your particular property, and that's important. So what we did, I know we're going to have a Q&A, and I do welcome the Q&A, but we did challenge the account managers to come up with kind of what are you guys talking about? What did they hear from you? And then one of the questions is, what are we doing besides just putting it on a website and the online travel agents? Are we doing more than that? And the answer is yes, we are. We are targeting past guests. We are reaching out to realtors. We are going to community events. We are kind of putting on presentations of golf communities. We are doing these things to get us as a company and your properties out front and center. Our social media presence has increased. We are posting more every time, and we post properties. We want our owners to start liking. We want our owners to be participatory. We want our owners to comment. Very often, we live in a world of 1-star, 5-star. People have grievances, so we'll post something. And we've had comments like, "Don't go there, the sun didn't shine. But don't go there, the pool was cold." Like crazy things that people say that we have no control over, but that thumbs down or that comment may well deter someone from looking at us as a company. So we encourage our owners, when engage with our social media team, engage on Facebook, engage on Instagram, engage so that make comments. This is a great team. This is a great area. I wouldn't trust my property to anyone else. July is a great time to go. Don't listen to all the stories. Be proactive and help us help you. Otherwise, sometimes we're riding this seesaw of 5-star, 1-star, 5-star, 1-star, and that doesn't do anyone any good. What we need is more engagement from our property owners. We do OTA promotions. So a lot of companies will have this set it and forget it mentality when it comes to rates. I'm sure you've all heard it. It's, after April, our rate is this, and then the season rate is this. I've banged on about it for years. That's not the way to go. The way to go is always be moving the price. Be reactive to what's going on within the community, no matter where your community is. And we do that by offering promotions. So we'll give discounts. When we take on a new property, we give a discount because we want that property to gain some momentum, want that property to get some reviews. So we get the reviews behind us, then it's a much easier sell. So, we're constantly seeking reviews from guests. It's not just kind of, hey, here's your directions, here's the key code. There's so much that goes on to it whilst the guest is here, hoping the guest is going to rebook, following up with reviews so that their feedback affects others in a positive way. So there's so much that we do other than just picking up the phone and saying, "Hey, do you want to book this property?" There's a lot that goes into managing your property. A lot of our owners, according to kind of our account managers, there's a concern out there that we're giving your property away. Now, we don't affect the market. I understand that there is rate integrity, right? And we understand that as a company. We're just not going to let your property go for anything. But the property prices do move. They, you know, they there's a big swing just even within a month for the property owners who can rent 3 days minimum. Like Valentine's Day weekend would be probably another 50% on top of the another weekend in February, because that's where the demand is. So looking at the upside, we can do that. But then we also need to look at it on the bottom end. If there's nothing going in and the dog days of summer, then let's drop that price, get someone into the property. If nothing else, if someone comes, they have a spectacular time at your property, their 5-star review will encourage someone to book your property at the full money at a different time of the year. And it's this, I know there's an emotional and attachment to properties, and I know that they're all worth something. And, people compare them to hotels all of the time. But you can't rent a hotel for that. But the bottom line is you can rent a hotel for one night. People have flexibility. People can cancel a hotel within 48 hours. They don't have that flexibility when it comes to vacation rentals, and rightly so. We can't risk and take that risk on for you, where we can have a cancellation policy. So that is so lax that we could be in a position where we're losing thousands of dollars on a rental. So the premise of dynamic pricing works with hotels to show you that people do move the rates up and down, but the actual baseline of my property is this: it's got a pool, it's got a kitchen, it's got this. The hotel room only has a hotel room. It's not necessarily a fair comparison. So we understand your property is worth something. Some owners have a minimum. We would prefer you just trust us that we're not going to take it down to the bare bones. We're going to see where the market is and market it at that rate, because we can increase the occupancy, we can get momentum on that property, and then you can really make hay when we're in peak season. Another question that we have from our owners is, we have various price plans, and I'm going to quickly go off script and take you to our website real quick. So I want to show, because I know you guys are signed up with us, and we perhaps we don't discuss the vacation, the plans and the website and things as much after you're signed on with us. So maybe sometimes this is a good time to get back to it. This. Okay, so this is our vacation rental management plan. So for the longest time, we had this blue plan and a gold plan, and then our platinum plan here. And you'll see on this blue plan that it comes with these things. Most companies do this, which is the listing on our website, the guest damage insurance, doing the accounting for you. And this is really a plan. It's really for kind of the seasonal rental. The owner who's got a condo is going to rent once a year during season, either through our network or on our website. It's most likely going to rent. This is the plan that we have something. We don't want to push a plan onto someone that they don't necessarily need. So we use this blue plan, and it works pretty well for those type of properties. Where we fell in is there was nothing between the blue plan and the gold plan. And this, we had a gold plan. Someone lives locally, they can inspect their property, they can go in and change batteries, and they don't feel like they're getting all of the benefit of having us go in periodically, doing the things we need to do to keep your property in tip-top shape. So they felt the $100 wasn't necessarily a plan that they needed. So we offered this blue plan. So it's the same as the blue plan plus, which is the same as the blue plan, but it goes on the OTAs. The 5% that we get charged from Airbnb and VRBO and Marriott and all these other different sites where we advertise your property, instead of us incurring that cost, we pass that cost on to onto our owner. And this Blue Plan Plus has been really, really popular. They feel they don't need necessarily all of the boots on the ground, the bells and whistles that the Gold Plan offered, but they want rentals, and the Blue Plan Plus kind of worked. So if that's something you're interested in, you could perhaps speak to your account manager, and they'll get you if it makes sense for all parties, they'll get you onto kind of a different plan. Just going back now. So just a quick thing on that. So even if you are on the Blue Plan Plus, you do get you still get a statement, a monthly statement. And just to reiterate on monthly statements, we took a step maybe about a year ago to really take our account managers take a day or so out of their month, and they line by line go through your account statement, your monthly statements. We've seen certainly a decrease in discrepancies and surprises. So hopefully you're seeing that. Hopefully seeing way more accuracy on the statements than you ever used to for those owners who have been with us for a while. So there were some of the questions you had for us, and then I challenged the account managers and our revenue team to ask how can we, or how can you as homeowners help yourselves? And what we see is, what really moves the needle when it comes to occupancy and rates, and it's updated cabinets and bathroom fixtures and flooring. People have such high expectations, way higher than they used to. People used to be, coming down to Florida, they used to be happy with the roof over their head and grandma's furniture. That was it. They loved it. They used to come down. But people now, they have higher expectations. We live in this Instagram world. We live in this kind of like, wow, look at this property kind of thing. And our homeowners need to catch up, because, if you want increased rates, if we want increased occupancy, then we have to set ourselves apart somehow. And we can do that by looking at updating your property, investing in smart thermostats, big screen TVs, technology within the house. People love their big screen TVs, I tell you. Speak to our sales team, and if you're talking about a 50-inch TV or 60, people are all over it. They don't want the old, big tubular TVs. They don't want small TVs in the bedroom. They want TVs, and they want fast Wi-Fi. They want things that they're used to at home. Going on vacation shouldn't be a downgrade of your regular life. So if people have these things in their properties, they expect it when they go on vacation and stay in a vacation rental. So budgeting to update your furniture. When did you last switch out your mattress? We've got reviews on properties where people are complaining about the mattresses, and the mattresses are 10, 15 years old. People are going to complain. So look at those things. If it's a single family home, how is the landscaping? How does the landscaping compare to the rest of the road? Just take a step back and look at your property. Go onto the website, look at the furnishings, and then look at some other properties that are on the website, perhaps in your community, and see this is what you're up against. go onto VRBO and see what other people are advertising their properties, how they're advertising them, what their photos look like. Because that's what a guest does. A guest just doesn't blindly book a property. And it's not always about the price. In fact, we don't want it always to be about the price. We want it to be about the whole package. People see the value of renting through us, and they will pay. They will pay that bit extra if they're going to get the property that they want and the service that they demand. My sales team bang on about it all the time. If your property, if your HOA accepts pets and there's no health reason for you uh, that's preventing you accepting pets, we really encourage pet-friendly properties. People people travel with their pets. You see it all the time now on planes. 5 years ago, 10 years ago, you didn't see it. United weren't, advertising, flights with pets, but they are now. We're moving into a different era when it comes to people traveling with their pets. If you are actively uh, preventing people bringing their pets, you will adversely affect your rental outcome. There's no two ways about it. We go to these conferences, they talk about it all the time. It's if the revenue is your key, occupancy and revenue is your key, pet-friendly homes is going to make a difference to your rentals. Trust us on following the market, and I don't think it's fair to say follow the market. Trust us in guiding the market as well as following the market. We do set the bar in a lot of the communities that we're in. We have such density of properties.
That price wasn't bad.
We have such density of properties in some markets, and we can set the rates. But then in others, we follow, and because VRBO has a lot more than what we do in some of these communities. So, but dynamic pricing is key. Focus on the occupancy and allow us to maintain the rate integrity. What we've done recently over past the last 6 months is sharing guest reviews with you as property owners. We talked about it a lot in leadership. Do we really want that? Do we want to show it, warts and all? But I want to be transparent. And if a guest is calling us out on cleanliness, we should be called out on it and we should act accordingly. But if a guest is saying that the property isn't up to scratch, or there's it needs some painting, or it needs this, it needs updated silverware, then trust us. We're in this together. So we're going to share. We've been sharing these guest reviews. Don't take it personally. It's these people don't own your house. They're staying in your house. Their feedback may not be subjective, but it's still valuable. So look at what guests say on their reviews and interpret it. And maybe not jump on the first one, but if we see a trend of this needs improving, then it likely needs improving. And we should be having conversations with your account manager about that. We know these are your properties, and we would never turn around and say, don't come during these times. Look, this is your property. It's your house, your investment. If you want to come during peak period, you come during peak period. Just know it's going to affect your rates. If you want to increase your profitability, and there is an opportunity for you to come outside of peak periods, then that's one way you can increase your profitability. If we've got an owner coming in February, then that only leaves January and March in our peak period. Now, it's a lot easier to rent January through March than it is just to rent January on its own. So just be mindful that your use does affect your profitability. And it's not just the amount you use the property, it's more when you use the property. But I do understand that it's your property. And yeah, we are very mindful of that. And then that's like, don't over restrict your property. Yes. Sometimes, this is out of our control. If your property is in a kind of an HOA restricted community or a condo restricted community, there's not a lot we can do about it. But if your property doesn't have restrictions, if, for example, you're in Manatee County and you have a single family home and there's no restrictions because you're not in an HOA, don't restrict your property to monthly rentals. Guest stays are getting shorter and shorter, and they would rather spend more money on a shorter amount of time rather than drag that same budget out over a month. So we will fill in the pieces, we'll fill in the jigsaw, and we'll close those gaps, but you've got to allow our team to do it. So if there is, shorter stays and the ability to rent shorter, then kind of allow our sales team that autonomy to do that on your behalf. So this I went over kind of like some of the headwinds that are, affecting rates. Now, we did a great job last year. Last January, our sales team did a great job in season. We are finding it. Our sales team are getting challenged, and there's reasons why kind of January at the moment is lagging a little bit behind where we were last year in terms of occupancy. Without storms, without the election, without the economic climate, without all these things, 100% confident that our team would be meeting and exceeding the numbers that was set previously, meeting our goals as a company. But there are challenges. Now, we do have, we still have 2 months, 3 months to fill those gaps and plug those gaps. And I'm a firm believer that when that snowstorm hits Massachusetts and kind of the northern states and the temperatures start dropping from where they are now, which is kind of unseasonably high, when the temperature drops, we're going to see an uptick in rental activity, and we'll plug the vast majority of those gaps. It's just, we're fighting on every front at the moment, but believe me, we are fighting for you. So let's get back here, isn't it? So you'll see here for those keen eyes amongst you, you'll see that over the years, the booking lead time has shrank. Used to be a lot of time where people would book months and months and months ahead, and that there's still some people doing that. It's some people still booking a year ahead. They book one unit. When they leave, they'll come in the following February for the same unit. There's certainly that market out there, and that's something that we encourage and we want. But then other people they're being more dynamic, and when they choose another area starts of the year or parts of the year, they might be going outside the school holidays. They may be saying deciding last minute, let's book here. Or next week, let's do this. So they are that booking window is dropping considerably to what it was previously. We think occupancy rates are going to rise for the rest of 2025. It's not all, when I talk about this, it's not all doom and gloom. The COVID set unrealistic expectations, and I can't say that enough. In 2019, there was a huge spike in rental activity in Florida, and I think people got sucked into that as becoming the new norm. What we're seeing now it's kind of just a return to a gradual growth. So realistically, we're probably back to kind of 2021 numbers, that what ordinary 21 numbers, not pandemic hit 2021 numbers. So we're still seeing growth, but it's just that the elephant in the room was COVID. Everyone benefited, and now it's a tough pill to swallow to kind of take a step backwards, especially if you bought in that period when real estate prices went super high. Now competition is higher than ever, and now you're stuck with, oh, I've got this property and it's not performing as well as it did in 2021. No one wants to hear that, but that's the reality of the market that we're in. There's nothing we can do about it. It's just where we're at. But what we do know is we are on a great trajectory from here on in. Once we get these headwinds out of the way, you know, the world really is our oyster when it comes to producing revenue. As you know, we're always reinvesting, always upgrading to kind of deliver to you the best in class. And we're the upgrade that we're seeing towards the end of this year is a enhanced version of the software. LMPM Streamline, same company, different name, but you're going to have access to a much more robust and what we think is a better software platform. It's not going to be a huge upheaval for you guys. It's just, again, a software upgrade. More on our end when it comes to what goes into that system, and it's going to create efficiencies for us. You're not going to see a whole lot of difference other than benefiting from those efficiencies. And aligned with that is just an enhanced website also, which kind of you'll see here. This is our first iteration. We hope to have it live within the first week of December to January, I think. But it's just staying in tune with the high industry standards that we try to maintain. I've talked about dynamic pricing. I'm sure you're all sick and tired of me kind of saying that, but I was once told you've got to tell someone something 7 times before it sinks in. This is kind of why I keep going on about the dynamic pricing. It works. It delivers more revenue, percentage-wise, delivers way more revenue. But it's not just us sitting back and letting a computer do the work. It's not just us setting the rates in January. We pay people to do this for a living. So it's not just these aren't just sound bites. These aren't just slides that we put up. This really does move the needle when it comes to increasing revenue for you guys. So I'm going to take a sip of water and then kind of open it up to the floor. I do like the questions. I love engagement. I like passionate, engaged owners, which, if you're on this conference call, that's what you are. We like being challenged. We know we're not perfect, but we are in a state of continual improvement, and I think that's all you can ask sometimes from a company. So I think Zach's going to do the kind of the microphones and choose who's answering and stuff.
Yeah, just put your hands up. You can raise your hand inside the chat, and we'll unmute and get you guys going. Mike has a question there. Mike, hey, I can't hit one. You want to?
Well, let me do it.
Okay.
There you go, Mike.
I'm happy. I see Eileen has her hand up first, but I'm happy to jump in. She has no time constraints. I'll go on.
Sorry, I see Eileen was in the room.
So
go ahead.
So regarding dynamic pricing, a lot of your lead up at the beginning of the presentation was about all the challenges we've obviously had. conditions of the island, specifically I'm on Sanibel, as some of you know. So how does that affect the dynamic pricing? Is there another level of filtration or consideration where, because of where we are, the nature of the dynamic pricing is even more extreme or more conservative? Is there an element at play there that takes into consideration the unique moment, not just driven by who's calling and when they're calling for?
Sure. So
Or does that factor in by virtue of when they call?
That's a great question, Mike. The majority of dynamic pricing is data driven, and as we know, it's the data is all about the results from data are all about the information that's being put into the mix. With Sanibel itself, because you're on Sanibel, it's still a bit glitchy at the moment. There's a lot of mom and pop companies on the island who don't necessarily feed the machine that gives us the data from the algorithms. So it's not a perfect science. What we do when it comes to a community like signaling, so super small, it's based on our demand. So it's very localized. We take into account the activity on Sanibel, and then we look at what's happening on Signal. And if it could be as simple as, if rates are flying out the door, if units are flying out the door, then our revenue team are looking at that saying, we might have missed the mark a little bit and not captured all of the revenue that we could have. So if there's a number of one bedrooms, for example, you could be in a position where some owners, or you will be in a position rather, some owners will have received $200 a night, but now we're marketing at $270 a night and getting $270 a night. And then if you talk to that other one bedroom owner and said, well, I got this for this month, and you say, well, I got this for this month, there's going to be discrepancies. But that's just a product of when your property was booked compared to kind of when the other unit was bought. Overall, it will level out because it just tends to. But that's more of something like Signal. That's more of a personal feel. There's more manual work goes into moving those numbers than there perhaps does in a island, say like Siesta Key, that is kind of saturated with rental properties, with professional management companies there that are contributing to the algorithms. Does that make sense?
Yeah. So you kind of changed the lens from all of Lee County, even down to Middle Gulf Drive, where
100%.
You're really localizing the critique and adjusting accordingly. The more primitive execution in our pre-Gulf Coast days would be to look at a particular hotel or two and see where they are and know we should be 10% above those, which was a form of what you're describing. But you're doing it at a higher level. One other request is that I would love to be on the mailing list for your promotions. I don't currently get any, and I don't know if you send, if all of your clients are being exposed to the promotions you run, but I don't get them.
Yeah, that's probably it. That is by design. We don't want it to skew data, and owners. If we start sending marketing material to owners, I'm pretty sure owners are going to open, and then that's going to skew our click-through rates, and we're not going to know if the marketing is actually working. So that's kind of a decision our marketing team takes on what gets sent out. If you speak to your account manager, then we can certainly show kind of the type of thing that's going out, and our team does welcome feedback. I know you're in the marketing world yourself, so our team does welcome feedback because again, we're not perfect.
That makes sense.
Okay. All right. Thanks, Mike. Eileen.
Yep.
Hello, Andy and everybody else. I had 3 questions, but Zach has already answered the first one, back to the saturation you were talking about earlier, Andy. So Zach has already answered that question. A second question is, you mentioned reports about 30 minutes ago. Precisely which reports are you talking about? Because the only reports that I get, certainly I get the statements that are, published each month, but I also get the inspection reports. Are there property reports beyond that that I am supposed to be getting and reviewing?
No, I was specifically talking about the property reports, Eileen. So when a guest leaves, a report
Okay.
that you get, kind of the post occupancy. There are some of the things that we have been sending, which is not necessarily reports as such, but feedback from guests when it comes to their reviews.
Okay.
Now that's taken the form of I guess a report, and we're trying to give some consistency to how
Yeah.
that information is provided to you guys, so you know what to expect. But no, the reports I was referring to earlier were the property condition after a guest.
Okay, so I refer to those as inspection reports. Okay,
Yeah.
okay, fair enough. And the last thing, and sorry, but this is I have a rental property in a different state that Gulf Coast is not present, or I would run it through you guys as well. But you mentioned Vacasa, and I do use them. And you mentioned when you're saying they may go out of business, are you saying for like everywhere they do business, or just in southwestern Florida?
Yeah. So for those of you who don't know, Vacasa, they went public about 3 years ago. And I think they went at about $100 their IPO, and now they're down to $3 maybe. I'm not too sure. The problem with Vacasa, and it's known within the industry, they are using their trust account, their short-term trust account. So basically their advanced deposits as part of their balance sheet, but not as a liability. And they are using that to fund their operations. They're in huge trouble now. They have an inventory of they do have a huge inventory of property. They're still doing $1 billion a year in revenue. And yeah, it's crazy. They're doing $1 billion a year in revenue, but they're not profitable. They're losing 20% a year. They're negative 20% a year. And so what will likely happen is there'll be that those accounts will be purchased. They're not just they are an asset, and when receivers come in, which they undoubtedly will, that though there'll be an asset class, and companies will either buy a region or buy an office, or it's something will happen. If there are alternatives, if it's something that you are looking at, I would speak to your account manager here. We have no interest, no vested interest in recommending other companies, but there are organizations like VRMA who they're industry associations that we belong to, that will have property management, registered property management, independent in that region that you could perhaps talk to.
Okay.
I'm sure. But
Okay.
I mean, ultimately, I don't know how negative it's going to be for owners of the casa, other than the transition. But they wildly overestimated. Yeah, it's incredible what's happened to the casa. It's one of those things.
Okay. Thank you very much for that. I appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Hi, Andy.
Yeah.
I have a question.
Yep.
This is Said here. I have a question.
Okay, Said.
Yes. Hi. How can we see the guest reviews? Where are they? Are in Facebook and X, in the property management website? Where can I see the guest reviews that you've suggested that we should look at the guest reviews? Where can I see it? How can I see it?
So you will see reviews on your property page. But then there's also reviews that come through the OTAs. So Airbnb and VRBO, they have a really robust review process. That's independent from us, and they leave reviews. The guest leaves reviews there. I don't encourage you to. I don't encourage you to go to VRBO and Airbnb and look at your listings. And this applies to everyone, because what happens is if an owner keeps going to Airbnb or VRBO and looking at their listing, the way those platforms work is they will penalize that property because people are going to that property and not booking it. So it will drop down the listing because their system believes that people are clicking on it, not liking the property. So it would then advance another property ahead of it. So we've had owners who want to look at their listings and on these platforms, but they keep going back to them. And it's really not doing these owners any favors, because why would Airbnb and VRBO keep that property high in the listings when someone's clicking on it and not booking it? So if you want to look at your property and if you want to review your property, go to our website. The information on our website transfers over to Airbnb and VRBO. It's the same information. It's just presented perhaps in a different way. But they take our listing copy, they take our photos, they take our map, they take everything. So there's no reason for an owner to go to VRBO and Airbnb. You're only going to hurt yourself. When it comes to us, it doesn't matter if you click. In fact, it's pretty good, because the more engagement we get as a company, then the higher we go up in rankings on Google. So it's fine. You can go to your property and ours. And that's where guests of ours leave reviews. We're in a review game, and there's so many opportunities for a guest to leave reviews. They leave it on Google, do they leave it on our website, do they leave it on VRBO and Airbnb? And in the end, there is some kind of apathy and some review kind of fatigue when it comes to kind of asking people to leave reviews. But it's the game we're in. People look at reviews all the time, so we know how important it is.
All right, thank you. Thank you, sir.
No other hands up right now. The chat question of answer so far.
Okay. Okay. Is there anyone else, guys? Any other questions whilst you have us? We'd love to be able to kind of answer some questions.
Andy, it's Mike again.
Hey, Mike.
So when you say our website, you mean Gulf Coast?
Yeah. So for you, Mike,
Gulf Coast vacation rentals, because we also have
on yours
Island Vacations and
Yeah.
Signal Inn. So I'm not sure
Yeah. It will be all of
which
them.
one is really working. Yeah, it's all of them.
Yeah.
So I don't want to make this about Signal Inn, but anything you can tell me about which of those three is working hardest, or do you have a comment on the fact that we have three of them? Coincidentally, I'm not listed on 2 out of the 3, but I'm on Gulf Coast, but I'm not on Island Rentals, and I'm not on Signal Inn, number 6.
Yeah, I'm throwing daggers now at Zach, going, why not? But he certainly should be. I don't know why that's not appearing. No, when we transferred Signal Inn across, that website has kind of been a staging website. We're not, it was there to fulfill. But as we roll out our new website, the Signal Inn website, the Island Vacations website, and the GC Vacations website, they're all going to be subject to this overhaul. So watch this space in the next few weeks, and you're going to see kind of a much better version of all of them.
Okay, and you expect that completion of that will come to bear for 2025 high season, or it's likely going to follow through, because obviously some of high season is already booked and locked down, but it may affect some of it, especially those last minute bookings you were talking about in those potential empty weeks in January, what have you.
Correct. I mean, for the market, and I think this goes for the whole of the Gulf Coast, up and down the coast. The storm's going to put people off. If we're saying it's a shorter booking window, I think we're all agreed it is a shorter booking window. The people who would be looking now, November, October, November time, were put off by the storm for sure, and it's made people take a pause. I think with the decrease in inventory on the barrier islands, even with what we've talked about, the saturation of the market, with the decrease in inventory that the barrier islands up and down the Gulf Coast are seeing, those people who were going to enter the market late, who have now just taken pause, they will re-enter it again in November and December. I'm certain of it. We took on a community last year on Siesta Key, and we didn't start work there until November the 1st, didn't start marketing properly until probably December, and we filled those gaps all the way through the following season. So people do book late, and I've got no reason, now these storms are behind us, the election's behind us, I've got no reason to believe that domestic travelers aren't going to be filling in the gaps, moving forward. Yeah.
So in terms of the lack of inventory due to damaged units, offline units, et cetera, that is a positive for those that are open, but then you've got general market softness. So what's your sense, again, on Sanibel? We're among maybe 30% of units that are open there. So you'd think we would have a huge advantage in early 2025. Obviously, with every month, more units will come online, but we have a head start, but it still doesn't feel that way.
No,
right?
But I don't want to dominate the webinar with say Signal Inn, but Signal Inn has some challenges that we're still trying to overcome.
Understood. So I wonder if there's any caveats in the contract.
Look, my life is a caveat, so it's I can't necessarily. It'd be difficult to put me down a lot of things. So to wrap it up, I think if there's an opportunity there, if the opportunities are there, we're in a position to capitalize on it. We're not going to be caught with our pants down. We know kind of we have the capabilities, the market, the resources, the labor, the strategies to take advantage of what comes our way. And so that kind of is how I phrase it.
Sure. Thank you.
Okay. All right. Anything else? Okay. Yeah. Thank you very much. I know you're all busy. I know that it's not the sexiest of things talking about the condition of a market, but I do really appreciate it that you jump on, and more so, it really makes a difference to the account managers that represent you, that they can see who's engaged and who's not. Having a relationship where we only speak to an owner kind of at statement time or once a year, that's not the kind of relationship we want. So this goes a long way to, to let my account managers know who's engaged, who's not. And, we do appreciate your loyalty to us. So, okay.